IBW is inviting you to support our long-term commitment to community building and cultural preservation in Grenada, beginning with the Louise Langdon Little Memorial Site and expanding into future projects that uplift the communities in Grenada and strengthen global Pan-African solidarity. Please visit www.ibw21.org for more information.
Dr. Pryor, could you please break down the correlation between the literacy laws during the era of chattel slavery and the drug-free zones implemented in the 21st century?
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, the correlation really is laws that have a specific intent. The laws which were under the listing of black codes around literacy was simply to ensure that individuals who were designated as free could be reinstated back to their formal chattel status by simply using the law as the mechanism to do so. So with the literacy law, it required that individuals have to pass a test before they could cast their vote. If they passed the test, then of course they were arrested because it was against the law for a slave to read. They refer to that as post ex facto. So that means that an individual is being convicted of something that they engaged in before it was even a law. And so that right there is just the way the law is being applied then and now. And so even in the current circumstances, we still have laws, again, that are designed with a specific intent in mind. It's not accidental, it's not coincidental, but the laws in America, going all the way back to the property laws, were always to our disadvantage. The laws have very rarely been designed to support our health and well-being. And so every law that you look at, particularly those that have to do with property, are really about laws that give property owners, who are usually white, power and powerlessness to those who are deemed as property. I'll give you an example. When an individual is convicted of a crime and the court decides that they're going to spend time in a correctional institution, they do what's called a transfer of custody, which means it goes from the custody of the judicial system to the correction system, which means you become a ward of the state, or better yet, state property. So here again, we see the application of these laws, always finding ways to keep us in a status that makes us appear to be inferior and second-class citizens.
How does educating the community about said laws, how does that help improve or help negate crime?
Well, I tell you, it's better to know than not to know. And, ignorance is no longer excuse. And so individuals have to have knowledge in order for them to be able to navigate the labyrinth of different tricks and mechanisms that will tie you into the system. For years and years, we advocated that the system was broken, the system is broken. And one night I woke up in a cold sweat. I said, hold on, wait a second. The system's not broken. The system is producing exactly what it was designed to produce. That's why you see a disproportionate impact on black and brown communities. This is not by accident. This, again, is a manifestation of the law by its very design. So we have to be in the process of dismantling and restoring and recreating. We have to re-engineer the entire legal system so that the laws are fair, just, and equal.
Is it easier to dismantle or would it be easier to navigate?
Personally, I think that it would be easier to dismantle. I think that to navigate it, you got to understand that a lot of the laws that work to our disadvantage are codified in so many different ways, so many different policies, so many different institutions. Then it's also codified in the psyche of America. I mean, when you think about the dichotomy between the rich and the poor, the have and the have-nots, the blacks and the whites, is so intricately integrated and intertwined into the very fabric of America that it would be nearly impossible to destroy. The only way that we can actually start off with a blank slate, the tabula rasa, we have to dismantle and rebuild from the ground up.
In there, you were discussing about the police pension and how behind the scenes how big of the corporation is that's funding that.
Yes.
I forget who said it earlier, but you have to showcase that whatever it is you're trying to do, you're gaining from that. So how, in that circumstance, in regarding to who's in control of, funding the police, funding these prison institutions, how do you go about convincing them that this change is beneficial not only to them but beneficial to the community office?
Well, it's really interesting you to ask that question. It is beneficial to the community. Here's why. because what folks don't realize, when you have everyone being able to support themselves, their children, their families, there comes with that a sense of satisfaction. And when individuals are satisfied and they are complacent, then they don't have a need to be aggressive. They don't have a need to compete with you. They don't have a need to look at you as a way of gaining, but instead they actually see you as complementary to their lifestyle. When you have people that are oppressed and don't have, and they can look across the road and see other people that do have, the envy and the animosity that is the precursor to individuals engaging in crime and violence become present. So you can knock all that out by just sharing, the wealth with everyone, and letting everyone be, at the very least, be able to support themselves and support their families and be able to do the things that we all want to do, to be safe, to be happy, to have a place to live. When you do that, that decreases the pressure and the anxiety and the anger and the hopelessness, and that's replaced with happiness and prosperity and upward mobility. And that's the kind of world we want to create. And I think that when we do that, we'll actually see a lot of the symptoms of what we're experiencing now begin to disappear.